Hello my motor enthusiasts. We're revved up and ready to talk about the recent Grand Prix on the Las Vegas Strip circuit. You're tuned into F1 Motor Fever podcast.
Quite a unique circuit, isn't it, Enzo?
Indeed, William. The drivers had quite a bit to say about it. Opinions were mixed overall, but there were a few constants.
Such as?
The lack of grip on the track, for one. Both Perez and Ocon mentioned it, and several others agreed.
That certainly would have presented a challenge for the drivers.
It did, but some drivers found that the challenge added to the excitement of the race. Verstappen and Leclerc, for instance, acknowledged the challenge but also praised the thrilling racing it produced.
And any concerns on safety?
Carlos Sainz Jr. did express some concerns about turn 12, but overall, the track was deemed safe.
Interesting. And the most important question, who aced the circuit?
The race had its surprises, but it was Charles Leclerc who crossed the finish line second.
Second? Who took the top spot then?
We'll have to delve into that in the upcoming discussions, William. But let's just say, it was a night of neon lights, high speeds, and unexpected twists in the city of Las Vegas. Hi there, my fellow motor enthusiasts. I'm Enzo, your trusty guide through this high-speed wonderland we call Formula One. I've got my mate William with me, a man who's dissected more races than I've had hot dinners.
Haha, that's right Enzo. Always a pleasure to be here.
As you know, we're your crew for F1 Motor Fever podcast, bringing you the latest news, analysis, and juicy behind-the-scenes stories from the world of Formula One every single day. If you haven't already, make sure to click that subscribe button, turn on those notifications, and please do share our podcast with your fellow speed demons. Your support keeps our engines running.
And don't forget to leave us a comment. We love hearing from you and we're always keen to answer your questions.
Absolutely, William. Now, brace yourselves because today's news will have you spinning your wheels. The feedback on the Las Vegas Strip circuit has thrown a spanner in the works, and you will not believe some of the comments we'll be sharing with you.
I can't wait, Enzo Watts. This is going to be an absolute cracker.
So stick around, everyone. We're about to put our foot down and go full throttle. Let's delve into the drivers' verdicts on the Las Vegas Strip circuit, shall we? We had quite a few conflicting opinions. Some felt it was too unchallenging, while others were pleasantly surprised by the thrills it offered. The one constant seemed to be the concern over the lack of grip.
Hold on a sec, unchallenging you say?
Yes, Max Verstappen indeed thought the track layout was not challenging enough before the race. But his tune changed after the race. He felt that the low degradation on the hard tyre, along with the long straights allowing for a lot of slipstreaming and a touch of headwind, combined with the low-speed corners, made for good racing.
To be honest, I didn't quite follow. Could you explain that another way?
Of course. What Verstappen is saying is that the hard tyres didn't wear down quickly, which made racing easier. The long straight sections of the track allowed him to take advantage of the aerodynamic slipstream of the car in front, which helped in overtaking. The headwind on the straight also added to the excitement. Plus, the slow corners didn't cause much time loss when following another car, which again helped in overtaking. So, all these factors combined to make the racing much better than he initially anticipated.
Got it, makes sense now. And what else did we hear from the drivers?
Charles Leclerc surprisingly found the race quite fun, despite his initial struggles during the second practice session. He hailed the excitement of the race and remarked that he wasn't expecting to have so much fun. It seems the extension of the doctor's zone on the strip made a significant difference for him.
So different strokes for different folks, eh? Quite interesting. Let's hear more then.
Further on the verdicts, Sergio Perez highlighted the lack of grip on the track surface, suggesting that might be due to the absence of support events. Now, Esteban Ocon, who climbed from 16th on the grid to finish 4th, was evidently thrilled about the circuit. He had some good moves not just on the high-speed parts, but on the tight sections as well, putting a dent in arguments that doctors' overtakes make the race boring.
Speaking of doctors' overtakes, could you?
Just a moment, please. I'd like to mention Lance Stroll, who also gained a lot of places, starting from the back row of the grid to finish 5th. He enjoyed the race, likening it to Baku. Quite the praise.
Yes, but I was about to ask.
And then there's Carlos Sainz Jr., who expressed some safety concerns, particularly about turn 12, where Lando Norris had a heavy crash.
And that's exactly what I was about to ask about. I wanted to know more about that incident.
Apologies for the interruption. Do go on, what was your question?
No, it's fine. You've already mentioned it. I was curious about the turn 12 situation and Sainz's safety concern.
Well, yes, Sainz feels the corner could be designed better not just for safety, but also for improving racing, as it's currently hard to follow other cars there. So, let's hope for improvements next year.
I completely agree. Safety should always be the top priority. Thanks for clarifying that.
Of course, my apologies for the earlier misunderstanding.
No worries, we're back on track, pun intended. Let's continue.
Just as a side note, we've been drawing this information from an article written by Keith Collentine, published on the 21st of November, 2023, on the RaceFan site.
Yes, race fans. It's a reliable and well-respected source in the world of Formula One. But as you always say,
indeed. It's always important to verify facts from reliable websites and sources.
Exactly. Now, let's keep this engine revving. What's next on the agenda?
Moving on, George Russell, Hamilton's teammate, initially thought the circuit was rather basic from the track map, but found it quite challenging and full of character when he drove on it. He conceded that overtaking wasn't easy due to the low downforce nature of the track.
That's fascinating. It just goes to show the difference between theory and practice, doesn't it?
Absolutely. Meanwhile, Fernando Alonso, the most experienced competitor on the grid, had a rather critical viewpoint. He pointed out the lack of grip and visibility, and the fact that the cars were bouncing quite a bit due to high speeds. He feels that these cars are better suited to circuits like Suzuka, Barcelona, and Silverstone, where the Formula One car can truly shine.
That's a very valid point. It's easy to forget that these cars weren't originally built for city circuits.
True. Finally, rookie Oscar Piastri echoed many drivers' feelings, saying that although the circuit wasn't on his favorites list to drive, it produced a good race. He particularly appreciated the doctor's zone into the last chicane, which wasn't a super simple overtake.
Sounds like we've had a mixed bag of opinions on this one, which isn't a bad thing. Diversity always makes for a good conversation.
Now, the AlphaTauri drivers seem to have had a difficult weekend, particularly due to the low-grip nature of the track. Daniel Ricciardo suggests that holding the track sessions earlier in the day might help. He also feels that treatment could be done on the surface to increase abrasiveness and improve grip.
That's an interesting suggestion, quite outside the box. I suppose that's what makes these drivers so exceptional, their ability to think on their feet.
Indeed. Zhu Guanyu agrees with Ricciardo's sentiments, stating that constant reopening of the track meant that any improvements in grip levels were erased every 24 hours. He's advocating for a tarmac similar to Jeddah's for a more entertaining race.
Zhu does raise a valid point. The constant dusting of the track can be quite a challenge for drivers.
Meanwhile, Logan Sargent, the home racer, believes that some of the curbs could be made easier to ride, which would likely enhance the racing experience.
Yes, the devil is in the details. Even the smallest change can make a huge difference.
Finally, Valtteri Bottas feels that the track doesn't need any changes and is good for racing. However, it's worth noting that he spent much of the race at the back due to damage on his car from the first lap.
A fair point, but it does highlight the importance of a good start, doesn't it?
Bottas maintained his optimism for the track, stating that he always thought it was going to be good for racing. Although he admits he would have liked to have been more involved in the action, as opposed to feeling like a sitting duck.
Yes, it's a shame when technical difficulties impede a driver's ability to fully partake in the race. It can be quite disheartening.
Meanwhile, Nico Hülkenberg applauds the efforts made in the construction of the circuit. He acknowledges the limitations they had to work around and felt that they did well within those constraints.
It's always commendable when drivers are able to see the bigger picture. The logistics involved are no small feat.
Absolutely. The array of reactions, from no fun to fun, solid to sketchy, suggests the Las Vegas F1 track certainly stirred a lively debate amongst the drivers. Each perspective brings a different piece to the puzzle.
It certainly does. These diverse opinions serve as a reminder that the world of motor racing is as much about adapting to new terrains as it is about speed and strategy.
William, what's the online chatter about today?
Well, let's see. It seems a user by the name of Norman Pringle has sparked quite the debate. He notes, quote, "Will Buxton, Red Bull has probably come to the realization that the only driver who can replace Daniel is Daniel. If he gets back to his form of old, then they'll stick him in the car next to Max, because they were the best driver lineup that they've had in terms of a two-driver team I think ever," unquote.
Sounds like a heated discussion. What are the responses looking like?
Quite a mixed bag, to be honest. Weiner, for one, doesn't mince his words. He says, quote, Daniel needs to get Daniel's head in the game and perform if Daniel wants any chance at Danieling around in a Red Bull, unquote.
Ah, the old wordplay. Any other interesting comments?
Yes, a user called Jim Bob James made a rather amusing comment. He said, quote, I liked the bit where he turned into a pickle and ran around shouting, hey Christian, I turned myself into a pickle. I'm Pickle Rick, unquote.
That's pretty funny. Any other gems out there?
Oh yes, there's a user called DBR3000 who made a point about the importance of wins. They said, quote, racing is about winning, and he's the only McLaren driver in the turbo hybrid era to win a race that includes drivers such as Lando, Oscar, Fernando, Stoffel, Carlos, Jensen, and Sergio. 2 world champs and 4 race winners, but none won in a McLaren, unquote. And that was countered by another user named Cooper Jones, who quipped back, quote, so Maldonado is better than most of the grid. LMAO, unquote. Clearly, plenty of banter and heated opinions on this one.
Well, that's the internet for you, a melting pot of opinions and colourful commentary. Thanks for the updates, William. That's all we have time for today. We've had a rollicking discussion on the recent race and the drivers' reactions to the Las Vegas F1 track. Thanks for joining us on this exhilarating ride. Please do subscribe and ding that notification bell so you don't miss any of our episodes. Share our channel with your mates, your Formula One WhatsApp group, on Facebook, or even over your Sunday roast. Don't forget to drop a comment and let us know your thoughts.
Absolutely. And if you've got any questions, don't hesitate to ask. You know, we might just answer them in a future episode. We're on air every day, so make sure you pop back in tomorrow for your daily dose of all things Formula One. There's always something interesting on the horizon.
Thanks again for tuning in, and we're looking forward to having you join us next time. Remember, pedal to the metal, keep your gaze on the road, our channel's content is pure gold.